airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
A former Secretary of State is reacting to the United States restarting nuclear negotiations with Iran.
Talks are set to resume in Vienna between the U.S., Iran, and several other parties to try to return to the terms of the 2015 nuclear agreement reached under former President Obama. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says that returning to that deal would be a regression in Middle East policy. He tells Fox News that the efforts of the Trump administration for Middle East peace would be undone by a new deal with Iran.
Their theory of the case back in 2013, 14, and 15 was that if we don't take this deal that guarantees the pathway to a nuclear weapon, then we'll be at war. And of course, we proved just the opposite, right? Secretary Kerry had said you can't get peace without solving the Palestinian problem. We demonstrated that wasn't true. We were realistic about the world. We engaged diplomatically across a broad spectrum when we brought these Gulf states together with the Israelis for a security arrangement that benefits Americans all across the country. To go back to that deal would be an enormous regression and an enormous increase in the risk to the United States of America.
From the USA Radio News Ohio Bureau, I'm Dan Naraki.
And finally, the Ford Mustang is the best-selling sports car worldwide for the second year in a row. The Mustang topping all competitors due to a surge in sales of the Bullitt and Shelby models with over 80,000 global sales in 2020. The U.S. is its strongest market, representing around three-quarters of total sales. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Welcome to What's the Story? My name is Janice Hermson, and I'm your host. It is Tuesday, April 13th, and we're so excited to be here. And Doug's with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
what?
welcome back.
I know. It's been
a couple weeks, right?
It has been, yeah.
We haven't seen too much.
I haven't had anything to throw at you.
He missed you. He definitely missed you. That's for sure.
Oh, well, it's nice to be missed.
Yeah. But
you
had a good weekend, huh?
Yeah.
And an okay week.
Yeah.
Rough times.
Yeah, my sister-in-law, Debbie's sister, passed away. You know, the expression is, you know, they died unexpectedly. Well, she was 76 and she wasn't doing well. So,
but it is unexpectedly because we live so long now that
a little bit like Prince Charles.
Yeah, he was 99.
Well, that was not exactly unexpected.
Well, I have a grandmother the same, right? I have a grandmother who's 99, and you know, it'd be unexpected.
Well, and I have to say that is true because even my mom, when my mom passed, it was unexpected, even though she was 95, because she was getting out of the hospital the next day. Right? Yeah, well, she did.
Well, you know, I think where the unexpected comes from is, especially with moms and sisters, they have been there your entire life. So it is kind of unexpected that you're not going to have them around anymore.
Right.
So
that's true.
That's a good loving gesture.
Losing a parent is so different than you know. I mean, everything is strange, but a parent that I think you've become friends with is different than a parent that's just a parent, if you know what I mean. It's just a different relationship because you build a whole. It's just like a whole two different relationships there.
I had a better relationship with my dad the last 2 or 3 years that he was alive than I did the prior 80-some. And it's amazing how that works.
I've always thought it was such timing, right? That timing's an unknown science, and when things happen, You know, my dad passed early. I didn't have that last 2 years thing.
Right.
I was a teenager, right? It wasn't mostly pretty, right?
Yeah, see, I lost my mom when I was 18. And the terrible thing about that, when you're 18, you really don't appreciate moms. It takes you, I think, into your 30s or your 40s, or at least it did with me, my 50s, before you really started missing them and all the things that should have been that weren't. Boy, that's a nice cheery way to start the show.
Isn't it, though?
I'm not sure how I segue on this one. I was thinking about that. I'm like, alrighty, how am I doing this?
This is where we always segmented to April.
Yeah, exactly.
April, what do you think of it?
Yeah, what do you think, April? Where are you, April?
Yeah, we miss you, April.
We do miss you, April. Where are you? Yeah, I did talk to her. She was talking about eventually maybe making her way back this way. So
Wouldn't that be nice?
it would be very nice.
She seemed to always be up.
Yeah.
You know it? So,
Yeah. Yeah, she was always pretty much on top of the game, and even though she would say she wasn't.
even though she did just lose her father-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
That came full circle, didn't it?
Yeah. He had to bring that up, right? Back down again.
We can always go back to Virginia Lake and the drinking
I know.
water.
I was thinking about that.
I had a jar. I found I was cleaning up my garage, and there was a jar with Virginia Lake water in it.
Yeah, that had somewhat corroded.
Well, it had been in there a little while, so yes, it had sifted.
You guys are too much.
We never forget.
Yeah, I was going to say, you will not let that one go.
I have to
Anytime we're in
remember
doubt.
that was like the only time I was ever right.
With her. It's true. What can you say? So we had hoped to have our special guest author, Steve Barry. He's the author of The Kaiser's Web. And unfortunately, we just have not been able to hear from him just yet. So I just want to tell anybody who got my email, we are not forgetting that. Sometimes things happen, and you were checking on it. So we're going to just kind of chit-chat here for a little while. And our weekends were crazy, and my weekend was a little crazy. But, you know, what can you say?
Oh.
It's such a downer from all that. Oh. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And here they sit. Come on, boys.
So,
pick it up.
No, it's like a changing of the season for me.
Oh, okay.
There's a change going on. Like the weather's mostly rated base warm now.
Well, it was
with
really
wind,
warm.
not base cold, base warm.
Yeah.
It's getting cold out there.
I was going to say,
raining.
is it raining?
Yep,
really?
it's sprinkling a little.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I was getting angry on my drive in with the red flag warnings in April. Right? Seriously. That never happened. I've been here 25 years. I mean, maybe the last 5 years, maybe.
Oh, global warming.
But, I mean, seriously,
Oh,
right?
I have something to talk
red
about
flag
that.
warnings in April. It's topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I walked out to the car to come here, and I didn't bring a jacket today, and I was freezing, and I was like, what? Fortunately, I had one in my car, but because when you're in Reno, you don't ever not have a jacket or something in the car, right?
I was going to say none of mine are in the closet. They're all in the back of my truck, right?
Exactly.
My coach.
Well, you got to be prepared. You don't know what the weather's going to be, so, you know, what can I say?
Yeah.
So anyway, but as I said, if you are tuning in thinking that you should be hearing Steve Barry, we are touching base. We're going to see what we can do. And so don't go away because we have some other good things coming up. We've got some current events we want to cover. And you guys mentioned global warming, climate change, all of that. I have a little story since we don't have our guest yet. I can share with you about that, something I saw just before I came on air. So stay with us, and this is What's the Story. We always have a story, even when our story isn't the same as what the story is that we thought we were going to tell you.
The driving force in truck and auto repair. Everybody knows Dynamic Diesel. What
puts the dynamic in Dynamic Diesel. They cater to all kinds of vehicles, gas or diesel. If you have one truck or a whole fleet of trucks, Dynamic Diesel is the place to have them serviced and repaired. Bring your domestic pickup truck or car in for the kind of expert service you won't find anywhere else in Northern Nevada. Dynamic Diesel is the home of Northern Nevada's only state-of-the-art Bosch injector testing machine. Get all of your common rail and diesel fuel injectors tested at Dynamic Diesel. Bring your trucks, pickups, and cars to Dynamic Diesel's 30,000 square foot facility at the corner of Gregg and Kleppe. Call him now at 359-4477. That's 359-4477, or schedule online at dynamicdieselinc.com.
The driving force in truck and auto repair. Everybody knows Dynamic Diesel.
You hear it all the time. Buy local, think local, eat local, choose local, grow local. But who the heck really is local? You can shop with locals at the Nevada Marketplace in the Reno Town Mall and search for locals at buynevadafirst.com. We're all local all the time.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Here's 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Wake up, the sun below. Got another road to sow. Let the fire feel the hope swelling up from the depths of my soul.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story. It was my turn to make you laugh when we came on air.
I'm liking it. I like that. Is that a sombrero?
It's a sombrero.
Oh, nice.
I just showed him a picture of cartoonish with a little sombrero on there. So.
Through a car.
Through a car. You know, got to have a little entertainment to liven it up. You guys were in the death zone, and so we needed to bring us back out again.
That's right.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
So I know you want to tell a story, but before we do that story, and mine sort of relates. Right before I came on air, Project Veritas put out a video. And if anybody knows about Project Veritas, I believe it's Tom Fitton, and is it Tom Fitton or is it the other one? I'm sorry.
I don't know the name.
I may have the names wrong, but Project Veritas, they go out there and they video and they talk to people, and they do this secretly, right? So it's almost like a sting, where they, do different things with different people. They did it with
CNN.
Well, that's the most recent one, the CNN one. Did you see it already?
No, Debbie was telling me about it.
So they did this with CNN. They apparently set up their technical director to go out. He logged on to Tinder. They matched up to somebody, and they ended up getting together, right? Well, the story is that he a guy friend of mine said, well, this is what guys do. He's showing off. Okay, so these aren't my words, but he says he was showing off, and he said, well, yeah, CNN, she starts asking him questions about, what they do and why they do it. And he shared, well, yeah, the whole thing about Matt Gaetz, that's just because he's a Republican. The Democrats don't want him. Thing about Trump, they didn't want him, so they worked it so that they would get him out, right? I mean, this is their technical guy saying that this is what they're intentionally doing. He says, that's why I came to CNN. And I'm paraphrasing, so please don't take my words out of context. But the point is that he's saying that it's all propaganda, his words, propaganda. And the next thing for the propaganda is climate change. So when you hear that, I guess you don't have to believe him. But if you feel as I do and feel like the news media, and I don't mean just CNN, I mean many of what they call the mainstream media, other people are now calling them the legacy media, they really push a subject and they don't cover anything but that, and they cram it down your throat until it's all you hear.
They have an agenda.
And that's exactly what he was saying. And that was what the whole Project Veritas thing was. So talking about the pandemic, your views, my views, whatever, how much of that is fed from what we've seen and been inundated with to where you just start to spew it because that's what you hear and that's sort of what you know. Despite what you might feel, oftentimes we're swayed. We are. We're all swayed. None of us are rocks that can say, I'm not going to do that.
That's why I'm contrary. They can only pull me like halfway.
Right. No,
right?
I know.
No, there's a reason for being there, right? You only get fooled halfway. You can still fix it.
But when you hear that kind of thing where he is coming right out and saying, and it's only one person, and it's only one person that works at CNN, but it's still, he's got a pretty decent position there.
Well, there's an analogy that'll fit this. When you get a blood test, the doctor requires one. Mm-hmm. They only take a sample. They don't draw all your blood.
That's true.
So there you go.
That's a good analogy. Very good analogy. So if you start to see them pushing the climate change thing, you might think about it a little.
So
and analyze what it is that they're telling you.
So anything that's on the president's agenda is in the circus zone, right? That's what I call it. The circus zone, right? So you got.
I think anything in the Washington D.C. agenda is in the circus zone.
Maybe, yeah.
You know what was interesting? I read this and it really came to light. It said you have a guy who's the president right now who is a committed, lifelong politician. On the other side of the spectrum, you had Trump, who never held a public office in his entire life, was a novice. He didn't know anything from anything as far as politics. Well,
I would say he's a little less than a novice, though.
Okay,
come on, I think he's got to be a little more of an intermediary because he dealt in.
And he had an agenda.
Yeah.
Well, look at the two agendas. Nothing could be more graphically expressed of what's going on than the opposite sides. So, and people like us were on the sidelines literally watching the ball being batted back and forth. So,
it's not even back and forth now. Now it's in your face, like patronizing, right? Like, best I know, Biden's CEO of Channel 2 News, right? CBS.
Yeah.
CBS only runs presidential, like, things that matter, right? Then
he talked about Biden, too, and said that they showed him in the best light.
But Channel 2, it is... I bet they're on the taxpayer payroll. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it is pretty bad. It is pretty bad. So
well, I have a quick story about coronavirus.
Okay.
And being immunized, and we sat here during the break and talked about it a little bit. Who's going to get their shots? Who doesn't? Well, my oldest son works for Orange County Fire down in Orange County, California. And down there, they have they call them pods, and it stands for something of which I don't remember. But it's where the masses go to get their shots.
Oh, okay.
So they asked the fire department, can you have firefighters help us run all these people through? fire department said, yeah. I mean, what better public service
Sure.
can you have than that? So my boy was down there watching him, and a unique thing happened. He said, Dad, he says, I can't believe it. You talk about, the millennials, and, everybody has a name. He says, when the millennials come through and they get their vaccination, we have about 10 of them a day who pass out.
How interesting.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And he says, no other group. He says, if somebody passes out, they'll go over there and look, I'll bet it's a millennial.
That's rough, right?
That is rough.
So we're really building in our school system some real strong personalities.
Well, they're not building anything in schools right now. Best I know, it's all being built out of school, right? It's ridiculous. Still, I mean, my son's still not going full-time high school.
Oh, I thought he was.
No, they go every other day, same. They're not changing.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's
Parents
horrible.
Don't have anything to say about it, huh?
So they just stifle it. I don't know if you've been watching the school board. No. Have you heard the latest?
No.
This
Love
is really cool.
Love to hear it.
So they go, the folks that people are voting for, there's no requirements. They're idiots. So that's why they're losing. So we're going to have appointees now.
What?
They're going to start, they want to vote and start having 2 or 3 appointees on school boards now. You want to talk about your socialism?
No, wait a minute.
Yeah. This
Hold
is
on.
Washoe County School Board stuff.
Back up the truck.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
They basically said that a lot of the people on the school board didn't have qualifications. They didn't have to have qualifications for run. So they're calling us who voted for these folks idiots, right?
Well, you get what you have available to
That's
you,
exactly right. But they're saying, no, they're going to try to have 2 or 3 appointees now on the Washoe County School Board from the state. Talk about cronyism. Talk about conspiracy. Talk about loser.
It's all bad.
It's all bad.
Every bit of it.
And that's actively going on.
That's a double.
It is. Yes, I'm biting my tongue.
You're close to school districts. Where's your opinion on that one?
Well, with my grandson, I probably shouldn't share this on the air, but
But he's going to anyway.
Yeah.
Do we need to cut your mic?
So you share more on air than on.
Well, see, the thing of it is, we know genetically what kind of a student he's going to be. I was a terrible student. My son was a terrible student, and my poor grandson was following in our tradition. And with this loosely weaved school that they call it, he was doing terrible. I know
A students that are doing terrible.
Exactly. So you know what we did?
So a poor student is going to have a tough time.
He's going to a private school now.
Oh.
We didn't want to lose these years.
Good.
We just did not want to lose these years.
Well, I think that those who can need to do that, and those who can't need to really kick up their heels.
There's an unintended consequence of public schools being losers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The private schools are winning.
Yeah.
And
well, I like what he told his dad. You know, after about a week at this private school, he said, well, you know, my boy asked my grandson, says, well, how are you liking? And he goes, he says, Dad, they don't let you get away with anything.
Well, did you tell them they can hit you? It's okay. I signed off. They can hit you.
That's right. Matter of fact, there was a couple boxes to check, and we added some boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's
we got
right.
them all checked.
You're going to let him smack him with the ruler, right?
Right. Physical intimidation is allowed.
As much as the one thing that he doesn't.
You're going to get us cut off the air.
His pals aren't there, and he misses that, and we understand.
And that's understandable.
That's very understandable.
Very much
but
so.
I said, you're gonna create other friends there. You'll do fine.
Right.
So
yeah.
you know,
it's an adjustment.
Since he moved, so Poor guy going to the rich cake eater school, private school, right? His friends call him a cake eater now, right? He's already dissociated. He's up in the ivory tower, and they're down in the valley at home on the internet.
Hey, revel in it.
That's
Celebrate
right.
it.
Look, man, he's got to go to school.
All right, we'll be back with more from What's the Story. I'm Janice Hermson.
Businesses, writers, check this out. Go to lrpnv.com to get your printing, publishing, and professional services today. Need a virtual office? A place to receive and forward your mail with professional address and suite number for your business? Someone to answer your telephones? Want to rent a conference room for only $15 an hour? What about that book you've been wanting to have printed? LRP Printing and Business Center can do it for you, and they have a professional assistant on site daily, Monday through Friday. Just call 775-356-1004. Need copies, business cards, invoices, books, booklets, or graphic design to help brand you or your business? Just call 775-356-1004 or go to lrpnv.com. With a great selection of new and used books, you can get your printing done and a book to entertain you in your time off. And don't forget, you could have your business sponsoring the Bookhound Radio Show, just like Andrew Martoni, author of Little Man in the Map, does every week. Just go to lrpnv.com. That's lrpnv.com or call 775-356-1004. They'll provide solutions for your business and writing projects.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more. Midtown matters. Get down to Midtown.
Ponderosa Meats, the anchor of Midtown since 1954. USDA choice, USDA prime cut. Ponderosa grass-fed beef. Call 775-322-4063. Ponderosa Meats, tradition, quality, and prime service.
Midtown Reno. Experience the difference. Get down to Midtown. Midtown matters.
I know I need to pay attention to my health, but I just can't seem to find the time. Between rushing to work and taking care of the kids, there's not much time left over for me. So I decided to start small by eating more fruits and vegetables and being more active. And then I got the family to make some changes too. We started by keeping a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter, and I limit the amount of sweet snacks I keep in the house. I've also found some creative ways to add more vegetables to our meals. We're taking more walks, and on the weekends, we head down to the pool at the rec center. It doesn't happen every day, but it does happen. You don't have to change your entire life to be healthier. Just make some simple changes and include your family. You'll see how easy and fun it can be.
You can make a difference. Eat smart, play hard. And when you do, your kids will too. A challenge from USDA.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story, and I'm Janice Hermson. I'm your host. I'm here with Ed Knoll.
Howdy, hon.
And our wonderful friend Doug Ashby is back.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love being back.
Yeah, we're glad you're back with us.
Thank you.
So this is
wait a minute. I have to say this. I don't know how well the program's going, but they're walking out the door.
The groupies
They're supposed to walk in the door.
The groupies have been flocking in.
They're flocking in.
We've been rebuilding the audience.
They're just coming on in one after the other.
Yeah.
What can you say? Well, it's the weather.
Yeah, it's global warming.
No, it's cooling.
Global warming. Not today.
Not today, no. And our word of the day is conspiracy.
Yes.
And I do want to correct one thing from the last segment, I was talking about Project Veritas, and that is James O'Keefe. Tom Fitton is with Judicial Watch. So I just wanted to make that correction. So if anybody's listening, they were probably saying, she's so... Yeah, well, I am, but I found it and I got it corrected.
We're never 100% correct, but we always correct 100% of the time.
We do. That is true. That is true. But our word of the day today is conspiracy. And part of that is because we are having a guest in the second hour, Maria Zack, who is accused of conspiracy theories, I'm sure. So I thought it was an appropriate time to use our conspiracy word. We've had that one on deck.
Is she an author?
No.
I was just curious to see if that conspiracy title sells more books.
No. Not that I'm aware anyway. I'll ask her that question. She's actually the founder of Nations in Action, which is a nonpartisan organization. So it does have to do with election integrity, and so we'll have her. But again, I'm sure that whole conspiracy thing is going to be out there. So, but we'll ask lots of questions. You're welcome to call in and ask your questions too if you have any. And we look forward to hearing from everybody. So,
don't you think there's just boatloads of conspiracies?
Oh, so many, and we're going to talk about some of them today. But you wanted to say something. I know.
One of the
I don't want to stop you.
When we have a word of the day, I love the synonym dictionary because it really adds to whatever the word is. I mean, when you see this word, you can think back.
Right.
Well, what I pulled up was there are basically 4 of them, and it really adds to conspiracy. One of it is scheming. Oh, that's right. A plot.
Scheming. Oh, yeah, that's right.
A plot, yeah. Treachery, like that one. And sedition.
That's a tough word.
Yeah.
But don't you think, I mean, to me it's relative, right? So people on people doing that kind of stuff is like regular.
Yeah.
Right? To me, where it has bite is when it's the government against people.
Right.
And that's where it's significant. They do all those things because we're not worthy. We're not up to their standards.
What a bridge. What a way to lead into the next thing that I looked up. I thought, I'm going to go on Amazon and see what's published in that. And what I did is I didn't look up, you can find a bazillion things what's going on today. And I thought, well, conspiracy goes clear back to the time of the Bible.
Sure.
I mean, you see all of it. But here, I just did the titles. I'm not saying that these are great books. I don't know anything about them, but the titles just grabbed me. And it says, The $1 Trillion Conspiracy, How the New World Order, Man-Made Diseases, Zombie Banks Are Destroying America.
Wow.
Wow, but here's the catch. That's from 2011.
Wow, that's even better.
It is.
Who wrote that?
They're either futuristic or we missed something.
Well, here's another one. The Mammoth Book of Cover-Ups. The 100 Most Terrifying Conspiracies of All Times. 2008. And here is my absolute favorite. America Conspiracy. Lies, lies, and more dirty lies that the government tell us. Now, I didn't mention, that was 2011, but the author was Jesse Ventura.
Oh. Wow.
Is that great stuff?
That
I
is.
mean, we tend to think in terms of today that, oh my gosh, hey, this has been going on since forever.
But serious, wouldn't you want to see Jesse Ventura in the Senate when the mob came through?
Oh,
and it'd been like a cage match right there in the Senate. Now that would have been entertaining, right? They could have sold tickets to that.
Well, what happened? What happened to the? Talk about the People's House. Oh, it's not the People's House anymore. They got a fence.
Well,
around
not now.
All right, you guys are leading right into my first conspiracy theory
See?
story.
The way
All
this
right,
comes
you
around.
brought up the Capitol. So I have to say that I don't know if anybody follows this guy, but he's at Richard Citizen Journalist. And he goes around Washington, D.C., lives in Washington, D.C. So he says, again, do I believe anything? I don't believe anything. I don't even believe the pictures he posts. But I kind of follow it and see, what other people say, people that live nearby. Oh, thanks, Richard. Now I don't have to go down and look myself. That's oftentimes what you'll hear. So some of it must be true because other people that live there have checked it out. Because if I did, I'd go out and look and see if I'm seeing the same thing he is. He says every night the White House goes black at 11 o'clock. I watched it last night, and he says, yep, every night, here we go, a couple minutes, and then he stood there, and sure enough, 11 o'clock, lights all went out.
No night lights?
Nothing.
I mean, Biden's kind of old. If he trips and falls over a sock in the middle of the night, man, he's going down.
Nope. Well, maybe they're inside lights
German
that are
Shepherd.
on, right?
Oh,
So,
well, he's banned. He's been banned to retrain
The
him.
most recent is unexplained. Well, yesterday he was showing pictures of their storm drains, and they were all they had sandbags all around the storm drains. I was like, what the heck? He says, what the heck? What are they doing? Anybody got any ideas? Didn't tell you. He never tells you what he thinks. He just shows you the stuff. So in a sense, yes, a good citizen journalist, right? He's not like trying to guide you or lead you into thinking something. He's just showing you. And he's still guiding you to that because, So what happens today? Unexplained water rushing towards the Capitol and the National Mall. And there's like 3 feet of water rushing through. You can see it coming down the street. You can take a look if you'd like.
I bet it's practice.
So it's
That's
just-
practice defense.
What is that? Practice
Well,
for
that
what?
water is to dispel crowds, right?
It's a boat.
Oh, is that
It's
what
a
it is?
defense.
But-
yeah.
So they've taken the fence down around the White House and they're going to make a
They're
moat.
testing. This is totally testing defenses.
Don't worry, because I have it on pretty good word that this won't affect the presidency because he can walk on water.
So I thought it was just trying to flush all the feces out of the White House there with the new stuff.
There isn't enough room.
Well, I think that's what they're uncovering. That's what they're uncovering. There's just not enough way, but they're pressure washing that stuff out of there.
Well, as you can see from the photos here, there's lots of water there. And as he...
It's a defense. If you could do significant
cops-
water and it got a
The
foot deep,
cops don't know why it's there. He asked the 2 cops that were walking down the road. He goes, what's going on? They go, we don't know. We're trying to find out. But they're walking down. Now, the water's coming from here. Why are they going this way? Right? Does that make sense? They're going with it
Nothing
instead
in
of
Washington,
back to...
D.C. makes sense.
Yeah, that kind of didn't make sense. Why are they coming this way when the water's going that way? They already see the water. Go find out where it's coming from, right? So, anyhow, yeah, he never did report any more on that other than yesterday sandbags, today water. I would guess this was planned, not, an accident, because why did they have sandbags out?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very good point.
Yeah, they had them out there, so.
I like Ed's philosophy. This is a way of crowd control.
Yep, totally is.
Yeah, I think
Water
so.
cannons have worked for years. This is just subtler.
Yeah, and I love the report about Dr. Fauci that says he's not sure and is confused as to why Texas hasn't had a COVID-19 surge after lifting their mask mandate.
So
puzzled.
follow the science.
He's puzzled.
Follow the science.
Yes. Then this is just a little brief, catch up on the little
The
things
world.
that are going on in the world. A group of German business owners created a visual representation of coronavirus to encourage people to return to freedom. They have different increments of what happens. So a height of 10 millimeters represents 100,000, or excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm not reading it right. 1 meter represents 10 million inhabitants, okay? So then you see like a white stripe, and those are the people, the babies that were born in the last year. So they go through all of this, and then they show this thin yellow line. That's all the people that have died from coronavirus. And they said, so this whole pole represents, the country, and this thin line is keeping us all locked down.
Yep, always
Why is
has
that?
been.
Yeah, so they're trying to encourage people to return to freedom. What a great way to represent that visually, right?
I think you could use the Fauci
do you understand
bobblehead.
The words you just spoke were encouraging people to return
Oh,
to
no,
freedom.
no. I know. No,
Isn't that
I do know.
amazing?
It's an awful thing to
Oh,
say.
my
However,
gosh.
they've been so convinced and fearful And we talked about this a year ago, right? When we first started this, we were all like, oh, this is baloney. Then we got bought in too. I mean, we could listen to our recordings and we would know we bought in as much as anyone else. Maybe not the fear part so much, because I don't think we really were fearful.
I don't. Yeah.
But we did buy into, okay, we got to do this. We got to abide by what they said. We allowed them to take our freedom. We allowed them to.
Well, we always do.
Yeah. And
No
that's the
matter
only
what
way they
it
can
is.
have
Okay,
it is
all
if
right.
we
Well,
allow
how
it.
do you not allow them?
And we'll have to talk about that when we come back, because we got to take a break. All right, this is What's the Story. We will be right back. My name is Janice Hermson. Stay with us.
At Northern Nevada Family Dental, we are proud to announce a wide range of advanced dental services by way of the Photona Lightwalker Laser. The Lightwalker Laser can efficiently and effectively treat most periodontal problems, from deep persistent pocketing to peri-implantitis and a multitude of conditions in between. Have cold sores? We can inhibit the cycle of the virus and sometimes even prevent them from occurring. Do you have a snoring or CPAP problem? Through the amazing healing power of light, we can treat tissues inside the mouth without anesthesia, appliances, or cutting, so that after just one treatment, most people sleep better and quieter that same night. By using the power of the laser intraorally, we can also smooth facial wrinkles and tighten sagging necklines, all without you having to be numb, and there's no downtime. It can even be done on a lunch break. Through the FDA-approved Power of Light, these treatments and many more are now available at Northern Nevada Family Dental in Sparks. Have I piqued your interest? Give us a call at 626-7772 or visit us at northernnevadafamilydental.com.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Now she's gone like a little...
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson. I'm your host, and we have been talking conspiracy. Did you want to cover a little bit about conspiracy before I keep going with my little current events here?
Well, I just, I think conspiracies, right, are like life, people talking around your back, right, in practical terms. But, right, to me, the biggest conspiracies are those of people in power against folks without it. And how common that is, and how often we go off on, right, I'm always talking about look at the core, not the symptoms of stuff. And I think on the show you do a real good job of targeting core causes, not symptoms, right? And I think the government's core cause is just power and just doing what they want when they want, right? It's just greed, power, raw emotion stuff.
I also think that the coronavirus, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, created an environment that forced us all to stop and look at what they were doing and what we were doing and kind of saying, what in the heck are we allowing, right? So although I think it was horrible, but first they said, 15 days to stop the spread. So what did we all do? I know I did. I said, well, I think it's wrong, but
we'll do it.
If that's something that's going to help, I can bite the bullet for a couple weeks and, make this thing happen. Truthfully, our life didn't change at all as far as what I did because we were essential. So we went to work every day. For me, it was not a huge deal other than financially it was because, your customers can't come in, so here you go. I'm going to work every day. Woo! Nobody's there. But in fact, as far as activity goes, my life didn't change. However, then they kept changing the goalposts, moving the goalposts. Things were different. Oh, wait a minute. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. Blah, blah, blah. So you start to think now, hold on.
Right.
What the heck? So if you're paying attention, you're like, wait, why are you doing that? But then you have the peer pressure, right? Because now here's somebody over here who's afraid, and they're your friend. Or you're a family member, and they're like, hold on, you can't do that.
Right.
So it's not them telling you now. Now it's your peers.
Well,
your
and that's
family.
the plan.
Exactly. And then you say, no, you're a conspiracy theorist, right? That's what I would say.
Yep.
Oh, no. So you can see how that developed, how that built, how that, now we have a whole year to look at, and we have statistics. And the statistics say they lied. And they did.
Well, right. And
they
to
lied.
me, though, now, right, I'm going to say they never had great credibility with me.
Yeah, but
now
you
the
can
science,
prove that they
right?
lied.
But now the science institution is a big fraud too.
Right. Well, and Fauci has patents on these viruses. Well,
so that's
what does that tell you?
That's what they need as a meter is a Fauci bobblehead with like a liquid, right? It comes up to a certain height. Oh, it's only belt level. Oh, there
Ed.
it is. And we could call it the Fauci meter, and everyone would get it, right? Be simpler than credit scoring.
Oh my goodness.
Fauci score. We'd have a Fauci score.
We talked about what's going to be the next, and we said, hey, the next in line is conspiracy is climate change. I want to say global warming, but
well, now that's called climate change because they don't want to say it's warming or cooling because it keeps changing.
It's getting cooler. Yeah. But let's look back at some of the fiascos that we've had going back 20 years. Do you remember the big fiasco of Y2K?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you're going to melt down.
Yep.
You aren't going to have a computer. You won't be built. Okay.
I remember that so well.
All right. That came and went.
Back up.
Yeah, exactly. So then what was the next? Oh, there's a hole in the air zone. You can't use hairspray anymore. What's the matter with you? And then we went off on
and
that.
And how did that happen? It wasn't, they started it, but then who enforced it? We did.
Yeah.
Because you look at somebody, shame on you.
Yeah.
And what is it now? It's you're not wearing a mask. You see all these videos of people. Yeah, it's all, they've taught us how to enforce what they want. And we're doing it.
We're sheep. We're sheep.
We're going
Sheeple.
Yes.
Last week's word.
Yep, sheeple.
And what are they doing? Everyone has a common denominator, and it's called fear. They want to keep throwing these fears out there, no matter how. Well, here's another fear: white male superiority. Oh, they're out to get you. Oh my gosh, every one of. Oh my, what is the matter? Can't I just live my life?
Right,
does it?
Right.
So
Not now.
it's.
Not right now, you can't.
But look at all of the things that they're throwing at you to be fearful of. And
it's just the easiest way to move people, right? It's non-creative. When you see a leader in an organization who is, one of those He-Man, right, fear intimidator types. They are moving people with the raw instinct of fear, right? It is the easiest way to move people. It's way more challenging to encourage people to success. It's way more challenging to lift them up, help people lift themselves up by their own bootstraps, right? It is easy to say, God, right?
Right.
Well, the thing of it is, if you do lift yourself up by your own and then bootstraps and you're successful, then they condemn you for being successful.
But then you learn not to listen.
Oh, I learned that long ago. But look at what's going on at the border. It doesn't matter who's in office, but when Trump was in office, it was a fraction of what's going on now.
That's because the nice guys came in.
And everybody jumped on it like, my gosh, we were executing people at the border. Now it's tenfold worse.
Well,
what does the news media tell you?
Well, you know what the problem is, and we've talked about that from the start. The media is shaking the jar. That's truly what's happening. They're the ones that are out there rattling the cage, however you want to frame it.
Oh, that's kind of running their sticks along the enclosed rooms with foil blankets. It looks like it's on
whatever
Mars.
It is, but they're the ones that are inciting the activity, and then we're carrying it out.
Well, and that's spreading. And I'll give you an example. I won't mention any names, but a family that I'm friends with, daughter went to college. Now she's considered white privilege.
Oh.
Well, now listen. Her mother, I know her mother. They lived in the projects. I'm her godmother. They lived in the projects. There was nothing white
privilege about it.
Yes, there was no privilege. Her and her husband worked hard to send her to college and worked hard to get them things that they wanted because she didn't want her to have a life like did. And then they wanted her to do a paper on white privilege, and she refused to. So now she's gone from school.
Wow. That's terrible.
What?
White
so it's
privilege.
spreading.
That's
well, it
hilarious.
is, and
the schools are the...
That's what I mean. Spreading over, spilling over, spilling over.
And you know that's what Coca-Cola did recently, where they were teaching about not being so white. And I think that they backed away from that, but apparently it's hurt them. I've seen posts on social media that show Pepsi's all gone and Coke is still sitting on the shelf. So my activity of not buying Coke, which is personal, I didn't go out and say, you guys don't buy Coke. I didn't say a word. I said personally, and I told them, I wrote to them and said, I know I don't matter much to you, but guess what? Any chance I get, I'm not buying your product.
Well, we can't get a tan now. Because of global warming. I can't go out in the sun.
But you get my drift that if you boycott even on your own, if everybody makes that choice and they all feel that way, guess what happens? The Coca-Cola is still sitting on the shelf and they're losing money.
I agree, but I have...
I don't think that it should be, we're all going to do this. I think it needs to be a personal choice.
Yes.
Because we all have our own idea of what's important to us. For me, that mattered. It was like, dang it, I love their products. Yeah. I really like what they make. And this is going to bother me, but it's important enough to me. They should not be teaching us not to be so white. That's ridiculous.
So I'm
not taking a knee.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that stuff. However, of that list of companies who stood up against or left, including Major League Baseball, Coca-Cola and McDonald's are the two companies that from the time I was a kid have had ethnic advertising. They've always appeared, right? Coca-Cola, McDonald's, NBA.
Okay.
They've always been true to their that space. And
then
so
why are they going against whites now?
No. They were against them then.
Oh.
They were ethnic favoring then.
But
so what I'm saying is they're true to who they were. The other Johnny-come-latelys, Major League Baseball,
but they weren't telling
Delta,
their employees not to be so white.
Well, I get
they
that.
Were not.
But they were always...
They may have been embracing diversity, which I think is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You know what they need to
learn. But I don't think it's right to tell me not to be so white. I have no choice. You'd have to teach me
So
that
I just have a real tough time with 8% of the population, right? I mean, African American in the United States is roughly 8%, I think.
Closer to 13, but that's okay.
Is it?
Pretty soon,
I was going to say it's closer to like 0 here, but
Yeah.
I was just saying that right when you start appealing, and it's the same with TV shows and all these things, that they're turning that way, right? The ratings can't go up.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you hit the
But
nail
that's
on
my
the
point.
You hit the nail on the head, and there's an expression that covers it. The consumer votes with their feet.
Right.
And that's exactly what we did the same thing. But I don't like the fact that what they did now, they're incorporating sports.
Right.
That was the one escape that we had,
We
and
don't
it's
have
no
it
longer
anymore.
there.
It's done, baby. It's done. All right. This is our long break. So if you're hanging with us on Facebook, stay there. We will be back after the news, and we will have Maria Zack, Nations in Action, and she will be chatting it up about things here.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
This is America Matters Media Radio, heard worldwide on the web at americamatters.us and on KCKQ 1180 AM, Reno.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
President Biden will announce a way forward in Afghanistan tomorrow. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying the president has long believed the United States has been in Afghanistan way too long.
The president has been consistent in his view that there's not a military solution to Afghanistan.
Biden is expected to announce plans to remove all remaining U.S. forces from the war-torn nation by September 11th of this year. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is being asked to reassign the case of Dante Wright to the state attorney general's office. Wright was shot and killed by police during a traffic stop just outside of Minneapolis on Sunday. The Twin Cities remain on edge, and 40 people were arrested Monday night for riots and looting that took place. There is no curfew on Tuesday night. Charges could be filed against the officer involved on Wednesday. USA Radio News.
When thinking about life insurance, my accident reinforced you never know what tomorrow might bring. That's why I reached out to AccuQuote. AccuQuote helps people find a life insurance policy that meets their needs. Since 1986, they've helped millions of folks save up to 60% on their life insurance by comparing the rates and features of dozens of top-rated life insurance products. A healthy 50-year-old non-smoker can buy $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $45 a month. A 60-year-old under $120 a month. Longer or permanent terms are available. Even if you already own life insurance, you really need to check out my friends at AccuQuote. Don't worry about health issues. Remember, they help me. As a pastor, I'm concerned about your soul and helping you to make sure your family is taken care of. Life insurance is more affordable now than ever, so don't make them wish you'd made that call. 877-437-4781. Call now, 877-437-4781. 877-437-4781.
Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state.
The government is halting all distribution of the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccines after 6 people developed rare and dangerous blood clots.
Of the 6 patients developing the blood clots, 1 person has died and another is in critical condition after they received the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine, or the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine. Acting FDA Commissioner Dr. Janet Woodcock made the announcement.
This morning, the FDA and CDC announced that out of an abundance of caution, we're recommending a pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine due to reports of 6 cases of a rare and severe type of blood clot following vaccine administration.
From the USA Radio News Texas Bureau, I'm John Clemens.
Down day on Wall Street at the closing bell, the Dow losing 68 points to close at 33,677. This is USA Radio News.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
Republicans on Capitol Hill are reacting with anger and disbelief to a proposal by the Biden administration to send cash payments to Central America as a way to combat the illegal immigrant crisis, describing the plan as madness. Roberta Jacobson, the White House's outgoing southern border coordinator, saying the proposal would be targeted at Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, the 3 Northern Triangle countries that are the source of much of the migration wave currently crashing against the U.S.-Mexico border. Advisor to former President Trump, Stephen Miller, saying this plan is lunacy.
We have reached the bottomless depths of absurdity, and it will most certainly not work. And I will tell you why. An illegal immigrant or an illegal immigrant family thinking of coming to the United States is very well aware of the financial benefits for them of doing so if they're able to get here and maintain a long-term residence here. You're talking about free health care. You're talking about free education, free American education. You're talking about massively higher wages relative to what you were making in your home country.
Some U.S. senators are hitting back at Major League Baseball over their decision to move their All-Star game out of Atlanta. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz saying he wants to end the league's immunity from antitrust laws. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Now she's gone like a riddle in a song, all the way to MIA, where she thinks that she belongs. Poof, now she's gone like a riddle in a song, all the way to MIA, where she thinks that she belongs.
Welcome to What's the Story? This is our second hour. If you stayed with us, thank you. And if you're just joining us, we're glad you're here. And this hour is going to be completely with Maria Zack, who broke the story about the Leonardo Italian military satellites being used to help to steal the 2020 U.S. election. At least that is the contention that is made. And this is our word of the day is conspiracy, and I know a lot of people call that a conspiracy. So I'm going to bring Maria on right now, and Maria is with Nations in Action. Welcome to What's the Story, Maria?
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. I would like you first to talk a little bit about Nations in Action, what you do, and why you started that organization.
Love that question because it was actually out of passion. My husband and I decided to fund an organization that we felt there was a great need in the country and certainly around the world to bridge the gap between policy and failure in communities, and certainly in the legislative approach, in advocacy, and how we can help people overall. So we did it as both a C3 and a C4, 501c4, and the C4 is the advocacy side. So we go for government transparency, good government accountability. We like election integrity, and we were very involved in elections and election law for years. We, many of us even served on the Bush v. Gore recount team. So we go back many, many years in what's legal and what's not. And we are able to help elected officials understand what's working, what's not, where the problems are. So I love our mission. We love to expose fraud, waste, and abuse in government, certainly a waste of taxpayer dollars. And it's shocking when you read the budget and see where it's going.
Right. Well, and I don't think any of us do that. So then when we find out, we're really shocked.
Yes, you would be.
Did you want to ask?
Yeah, I was going to say, only do we see numbers generally when they're like selling bills, right? Like this morning, President Biden had stuff out, right? So they throw some numbers out there. It's rare that we see anything after the fact. Oh, they passed this bill.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
And the green energy push that he's doing, the last push from the Clinton and Obama days, those bills were fraught with corruption. There's many, many indictments, many people who went to jail, and a lot of people need to know about that because it's, here we go. I would say 2.0, but I think it's going to be 3.0, that the corruption and fraud, the fake grants that are put in and applications. It's really disgusting because they're stealing food off the tables of every American family when they do that.
Well, I think that when Trump was in, a lot of us started to understand really how, especially toward the end, how things worked, how little would go to America, how much was going everywhere else. And I think that pause in our lives with the pandemic created some of that. My question now would be, since this is what you do and you try to educate and help people understand, and we talk a lot about the media being the ones that shake the jar, that rattle the cage, that cause us all to get upset, but nobody knows what to do about it. So we see it happening again, and we're saying, now what? Now what do we do? Because nobody got in trouble for it before. Why would we think that would happen now?
It's really a sad statement for where government's at today and why there needs to be a whole day of reckoning just internally in that infrastructure. So we're going to be calling on both the Democrat and Republican parties to implement key changes in how they are structured and what they call upon for their elected officials and candidates. We want to see a bigger push for transparency and for ending fraud, waste, and abuse. And I think that's something everybody should be agreeing on, and certainly election integrity and saying the truth about what's happening at the polling locations. In Broward County, Florida, in 2018, we outed what happened with Brenda Snipes, and the governor actually removed her, rightfully so. They hold your ballots while you vote. They actually go and have you change things along the way. They hold it up and go, hey, you didn't mark this one. Like, what the heck? You're looking at my ballot and you're telling me how to vote. So we actually had pictures from a whistleblower, and the crazy part of it is the whistleblower would have been the guilty person and not the person who did it. He didn't get prosecuted.
Ugh, that's so frustrating. Okay, so we only have a couple of minutes, but cover what you can about how you got involved in this situation in Italy, because it's, you're here in America. How in the world did you get involved in anybody talking about fraud in Italy and affecting our election?
Well, I'm grateful for our reputation of having worked in government accountability, and we partner with other groups, including the Institute for Good Governance. And so a lot of people come to us, and that's what happened in the Broward County situation in Florida. People came to us, gave us pictures. Well, in the Italy situation, I sure didn't expect it. I was busy with all of our teammates across the country who were working diligently. They had worked the polls. They were poll watchers and workers and had affidavits of the fraud that took place. And it was really incredible fraud. And so they were very frustrated, and we found 40,000 ballots that were fraudulently cast in Georgia. We did a press release on it, and all of a sudden I get a call from a business associate, and they said, look, we got to meet immediately. And I said, okay. And we meet and we discuss the calls that they have received. And it was an outreach, and we did not realize how bad the situation was in Italy. But the intelligence services had noticed something going on with our embassies and with the CIA agents, that they normally had a good relationship in the previous times. And so they knew they couldn't trust people inside the embassy, because they had caught wind that a gentleman had gone home from work and told his wife that he at work at Leonardo SPA, a major defense contracting firm, the largest industrial employer in Italy, over 100,000 employees, he was the head of cybersecurity and actually changed the votes in our election, told his wife told family members and friends, including someone in the intel agencies. And so they started pulling all the pieces together that they had of intel. They have intercepts, obviously. They all listen to each other in their embassies. And they had photographs, and they had other people who were giving information. So all this information came at us just in a giant amount. And when it came, they were going, and this name and Alexander Nix, and they're like just throwing names around. And I'm like writing as fast and furious as I can, because all of a sudden pieces were clicking in my head from the 2016 election, because I actually had some engagement with some of these people, having worked on a super PAC. So this outpouring that came, it was a plea for help to say, hey, we think this is wrong. We don't want to hurt America, and somehow we need to help you make this right.
Wow. All right, on that note, we're going to take a
Hi,
break.
I'm Nathan Osmond of OsmondHomeLoans.com. I'm part of the elite team of Security Home Mortgage and want to become your preferred lender. There's never been a better time to lock in the rate. Unlike many of our competitors, we will not outsource your loan. Our setup, processing, underwriting, and closing staff are all in-house and will help you every step of the way. If you're looking to buy a home in Utah, or if you live here and wish to take advantage of historically low rates, then I am your mortgage man. Be sure to visit OsmondHomeLoans.com today to receive a free quote. That's OsmondHomeLoans.com.
NMLS number 2043092.
Barbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Barbecue's open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Barbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Barbecue Reno.
Hi, I'm Noreen Leary, CEO of the Veterans Guest House. Guest House is a home away from home for our veterans and their families who travel to Reno for medical care. Our house is more than just a warm bed. It's a place of camaraderie where veterans can find support and long-lasting friends. We serve veterans, men and women, young and old, Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Wherever they hail from and whatever their circumstance, the Veterans Guest House is ready to support them. The reason we feel so strongly about our mission is that we know that many veterans would forgo their medical treatments because they simply can't afford the accommodations. The guest house is one of a kind in the country, funded entirely through private donations. Want to know how you can help? There are many ways you can be involved, from volunteering, providing dinners, or supplying items from our wish list. Find out more about the guest house at www.veteransguesthouse.org. Serving veterans today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story, and we've been speaking with Maria Zack of Nations in Action, and she gave us a little bit of background on what they do and how she got involved in what I think you guys are calling Italy Gate, yes?
And Italy did it.
And Italy did it. That's right. That's your website, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so I've seen a lot of things, and I do want you to get back to your story because it's just phenomenal, and we have a whole hour, and it's not enough time. And I've seen things about Germany and China, and of course, everybody always Russia, Russia, Russia. But I've actually seen IP addresses from China that said that they changed the outcome here in Nevada, and so kind of, can you walk me through how is it that Italy did it?
Fantastic question, because so many people were concentrating on what happened to the machines, that something happened. Everyone knew something happened. They go, this isn't right. Middle of the night, we see some spikes. And they're like, what the heck? This is wrong. And in the lawsuits, they're all going, the machines, but nobody said who did it, where they did it, how they did it. So all the key pieces were missing of the real culprits and the pathway. And so once we knew that it was Arturo Delio who went home and told his wife he did it, then we had some phenomenal opportunities with knowing exactly who did it and being able to investigate it. So the intel services went in, investigated. They were able to get him to confess. A lot of people don't know this, and I'll break it on your show. There is another person who confessed also that he knows. So there are people who know, and I will tell you that it's fascinating to me because of the way the whole story came down and the information as we were getting it. That CIA agent showed up at the Rome Embassy, U.S. Embassy, Via Veneto location. We found out that Stefano Serafini, a senior government official from the United States, was meeting with General Graziano. They would go across the street to work together on corroborating this and building the whole scenario. And they did it at the apartment of a guy named Mancato, who works for a subsidiary of Leonardo. And Mr. Mancato is also the same guy who is the Italy Chamber of Commerce link of the Italy-Iran group, Italy-Qatar, and Italy-China group. So he is the face of Italy on behalf of the business community with those organizations. My understanding is he even has a building in Iran. So I think it's important for people to understand this is way bigger than certainly I ever understood. And General Graziano is also the military commander of the EU. So there's a lot of people that are involved, and the intercepts as they were getting them. This was high-level information. I have worked in the government affairs arena for 30 years. I've done some international affairs in Croatia, Ireland, and elsewhere. But this really struck me when they were giving me actual photographs that were taken at the U.S. Embassy. And I'm like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Now I've got, something to really bite my teeth in. I needed proof. I needed to know who did it, where they did it, how they did it. And I needed to be able to run some leads. So we've been able to backtrack into a lot of this information. We were getting intercepts that Joe Biden was calling into Matteo Renzi, the former prime minister and senator who was very close to Barack Obama. And he was giving the information back and forth, having conversations about giving away our military base, Sigonelli, there in Italy, and also told Matteo Renzi to pull his support from Conte. Giuseppe Conte was the acting prime minister when all this was breaking. He was an economics professor. He ends up as prime minister. And they pull their support. Well, because we had advance warning, hello, people are listening, they actually pulled together a consortium of people and were able to build a new party called Repubblica. And this investigation we were doing, it was so fascinating because all of a sudden they were able to get enough of a block of several parties together to form a coalition to beat the Matteo Renzi party efforts, for a pro-China candidate. And the pro-China party, the Five Star Party, ironically, in 2018 went from 1% to 34%. And we were told that the machines were used on Italy as a test case. And that was a phenomenal result that they suddenly took control. And now this opportunity actually allowed them to strip it and return control back to a more moderate Italy.
Okay.
Wowza.
So I guess to make it really, really clear, for the person that's out there and says, "Oh, she's lying," what do you say to them?
Bring it on. I say, bring it on. Prove me wrong. Okay. And that's the thing that I tell everybody. Like, it is important that journalists do their job, ask the right questions, drill down on the facts. Tell me why this picture isn't relevant and why it's not from the embassy, because it can only have taken from the embassy cameras. So why do I have General Graziano's satellite cell phone numbers? That's impossible to get the EU commander's satellite cell phone numbers. So, there are facts that there's just too many facts. Okay, and the fact that we knew that Joe Biden was calling in, we knew all the facts and what they were doing when they were doing it. We were able to shift things around, and we were able to get information through our investigation, not just in the how they did it and how the gentleman, Arturo Delio, explained that they used the satellites at the Pescara facility. They loaded the software. He kept a copy, and that is his lifeline. And that's probably the only reason he's alive today, that we believe he is alive. And I say when we believe, because, as soon as we dropped an article, people started scrambling. We dropped an article in Italy that Leonardo was culpable. We received some information, and that article sent the CIA guys racing to the airport. Leonardo immediately called for the removal and the arrest of Arturo Delio for hacking in 2017.
Right,
on
I saw
a
that
false
report.
charge,
Yeah.
obviously. And Italy changed out the heads of their IT and their cybersecurity positions. So everybody scrambled, and we love to see it because it just validated us even more.
Okay. So for those of us who may or may not believe that to be true, you have the proof, I do not. How do I reconcile that I'm looking at Joe Biden as the president and
Yes.
you have proof that something happened? Why didn't that, and I probably know the answer, but I still want you to answer it. Why didn't that proof get to the right people so that something could be at least done to determine who is really the person that won that election?
We were real disappointed in what happened in January 6th, obviously for multiple reasons. But first and foremost, we had sent in an affidavit, and we had been meeting for a month and a half prior with Sidney Powell, General Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, and some of his staff. And they were drinking from a fire hose. And I don't think that they were able to manage all the information that was coming into them. And some of it was real and some of it was fake. So I would have hated to have been in their shoes
really.
of trying to discern what to triage. And it was just that, triage, because so much the focus was on each state. So many things went wrong in the inner cities. And certainly there was a lot of confusion. And there was confusion on actually the law and what could and couldn't take place. And it was really tragic. And it wasn't until Christmas Eve when my husband and I went to Mar-a-Lago and passed a note to the president. We were there dining, and that was my only way to sneak in and try to see him. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. I slip a note. He looked up and said, "Merry Christmas." And I said, "Merry Christmas, Mr. President. It's going to be the best Christmas ever. Here's a note about Italy." And we know the guy who did it and how he did it. And he looked at me in shock. And I was surprised he didn't know yet, because I thought by then General Flynn, he said he would get me to the president. And I was begging for help to get to him. We're a small nonprofit. We don't have a massive amount of funds to just suddenly do press releases. And and infrastructural grassroots of social media across the nation every day. That's just not us. We're building. And we realized we had the tiger by the tail, and this was the worst case scenario because they all had their hair on fire. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I'll call all the congressmen I know. So I start dialing away, and I took the buckshot approach. I was calling everybody that I could think of, people who knew me, who could vouch for me, who have known me for 30 years. And several of these people know I am a straight arrow. They never lied, always top reputation, very honest, ethical, won awards for that. So it's not like I'm someone's secret to a lot of these guys. I actually have relationships, and they know that I tell the truth.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break here. And then when we come back, we'll talk some more about that. And I have a few more questions, of course. And thank you, Maria, Zack. We will be right back.
Small town quality and care with today's most advanced technology in the truck and automobile repair industry. It's exactly what you'll find at Dynamic Diesel. In these trying times, Dynamic Diesel is open and ready to serve the community and your vehicle. Dynamic Diesel will treat you fairly and always stand behind their service. So call now, 775-359-4477.
Everybody knows Dynamic Diesel.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more. Midtown matters. Get down to Midtown.
Ponderosa Meats, the anchor of Midtown since 1954. USDA choice, USDA prime cut. Ponderosa grass-fed beef. Call 775-322-4063. Ponderosa Meats, tradition, quality, and prime service.
Midtown Reno. Experience the difference. Get down to Midtown. Midtown matters.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Wake up, the sun below. Got another road to sow. Let the fire feel the hope swelling up from the depths of my soul.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story, and we're going to get right back to our guest, Maria Zack, Nations in Action, and the person that broke the story about Italy, or Italy did it, I guess, is really the way I should be saying this. Maria, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about you're trying to kind of give some credibility to this for those folks out there that might still feel like, nah, that can't be. I don't understand why that would be true. Can you kind of lead us through?
Absolutely. So back in 2016, there was a gentleman named Alexander Nix running Cambridge Analytica. Everyone should Google that and know that inside and out. Cambridge Analytica later got into deep trouble, and they got in trouble because they were coordinating with Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg in taking a lot of our personal information. What I didn't know at the time in 2015, 2016, ramping up to that election, Alexander Nix was embedded in the Cruz campaigns as well as the Trump campaign with Cambridge Analytica. And I thought, okay, he's an IT guy. I'm an IT owner, CEO of an IT company. So, okay, he has computer software for elections. Okay, I wasn't impressed with his. My IT CTO actually met with him, and we weren't impressed with the software back in 2016. Well, fast forward to 2020, and Italy tells us, the investigators tell us that Alexander Nix is MI6. He is not Cambridge Analytica's CEO. That is a cover story. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, hold on a second. MI6 was embedded in the Cruz and Trump campaign. So think about this. Steve Bannon was very close to him, Rebecca Mercer. So suddenly that has changed my whole turn of how this investigation has gone, because the intel we received from the Italian government is that the pathway of Alexander Nix coming into Italy is that he met with the president of Leonardo as everything was going down. So I mentioned we dropped an article and everyone was scrambling, and they were arresting Arturo Delio and doing a false charge. Arturo Delio was hidden away, and we kept him protected as long as we could. And then they got him and they put him in the Naples jail. And when they did that, MI6's Alexander Nix shows up at the defense contractor Leonardo's office and then goes down and meets in Naples with the prosecuting attorney. Now, if you're the CEO of an IT company on computer software, you wouldn't be at that office anyway at Leonardo, right. And you sure as heck wouldn't go be meeting with the prosecutor of the guy who actually did it. And so I was like, okay, come on, you guys are so obvious. And so all the pieces started falling into place on Alexander Nix and his infiltration both in America and there in Italy. So he was involved for many years in Italy, and they know him very well.
Okay, so there are some people that are close to the Trump administration, former administration, that don't believe that this happened that way. Again, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here a little bit, but what is it that, again, the question of, I saw things that said it came from China. How are you telling me it came from Italy?
So several of the people in the Trump campaign, and this was not partisan for me, this was strictly a theft of America happened, a theft of the crime. And so I was looking at it as he is the president and he deserves to know what happened to him personally. The campaign or the White House staff actually was trying to help us. And I had given information to Mark Meadows, then chief of staff to the president, and gave him information, including the location of Mifsud, Joseph Mifsud, who was involved in the whole Italy Gate, George Papadopoulos mess. And I'm like, why am I getting this information? Well, he was connected to Link University, and Link University came up in this investigation. So we passed that information on for him to give to Mr. Durham for the Durham report. We also had many others that were trying to help us get visas because we were trying to exfiltrate Mr. Delia and his wife. So there were people in the State Department who were trying to help us. And I'm very, very grateful for their assistance. Many of them I've met with post-election and the January 20th inauguration date, and they are still believing the story because they have then tried to help us exfiltrate. And they also had Mike Pompeo flying back to Italy. I have not talked to Mike Pompeo about this. I would like to meet with him and understand how much he had involved with it. My understanding is that Mark Meadows went out to Andrews when the Italian planes came flying over, and they thought that Arturo Delio was on the plane. We don't know if that was a ruse, but people knew inside the White House something was going on. I was told that they were getting folks from the marshal's office to assist me because I couldn't just go and get him and bring him. I needed the visas and I needed the marshal's office. I needed people to keep them safe. But the most important thing is of why we're stuck, that a lot of people don't realize and know. The allowing him to come, they wanted proof that the software was the actual code that changed the votes. So they wanted to validate it on the tarmac at Naples NAS. So we were asking for a plane to bring him over, as well as the visas. And there were a couple other people that we had asked for visas for as well, including another witness and some others that were involved in it that would help. And nobody could get us the visas out of the State Department. It was shocking. And they were trying to get the campaign side was trying to get their hands on the software. And I was very concerned that the chain of custody would be broken. And in every investigation, you don't let one of the parts, either sides of the teams, you want the real investigators to step in and have that information. And so it was my hope that the White House would have brought investigators in to review the code. And so we were asking the Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, who was very involved in this, in being kept up to date at all times through this. So a lot of people didn't know the inside story, that there were a lot of people working hard to help us. And I'm very grateful. Why it didn't come to fruition is that I was told that ultimately the White House was concerned about doing the exfil without being able to see and work the algorithms, which is impossible to do because this is a genius mil-spec software.
Okay, so my next question would be, we now have results from the audit from Michigan, and they're getting ready to do one in Maricopa County. How does that circle to what you're talking about and then what you know?
So Arturo Delio, when he confessed and we were able to do the affidavit about the process, he actually said it was very difficult to change the votes as they were coming in because there were far more than he anticipated for changing. And so it was a lot of work, and that's why the data spikes happened. Using a military satellite, everyone has to understand there's footprints left. You cannot just erase the traffic and the surges from that. So that is still on the system at Leonardo. I'm sure they're trying their darndest to erase that footprint. I had requested SecDef and that team who was talking to him to please grab everything you can. What a lot of people don't understand is America citizens paid about $250 million a quarter to Leonardo because they were running the systems for both our embassies, NSA, and the military defense forces. So SecDef suddenly had a new problem and that he had to shut down his systems. So if you look back, there were articles that he had to shut down some of his most secure systems, and that was before everything came out about the hack.
So are the audits that are done now, the most recent one where they said in Michigan that those results should not have been certified, do they reference back to what you saw?
From what we're being told in the investigation, yes, that the spikes that everybody was seeing was related specifically to the satellite upload. It directly correlates, and we have been providing information to the attorneys, including Michigan, and the picture, ironically, of who we were given relates directly back to somebody, and we have a witness that is saying this gentleman has told him in the past that he changed elections in America in previous elections. So this is not new. It's been going on for some time. It was just done differently by using the satellite.
And so the question is, how does one vote today or in the next election and have any kind of confidence?
They shouldn't have confidence. They should not, unless it is paper ballots at this stage, until we can get inside. And I met with Georgia legislators. They called and asked me to come up. They were working on their legislation, and we gave recommendations on changes that needed to happen. And one of the key changes, and it's shocking to me, but owning an IT company, I kind of get it, but still, you should have every right as a state to look at the code. If I came to you and I said, I have a software and I'm going to do your election, you should have every right under secure circumstances with cybersecurity experts to examine my code. You should be able to look at every piece of my machinery, because protecting the integrity of the election, there is nothing more important in our country. And unfortunately, the contracts actually did not allow for it.
Right, I
and
read
then
that, yeah.
we received calls just not even a month ago that Louisiana was looking at doing $100 million purchase of machines. They got me on Zoom calls with a legislator and activists, and they said, we want to stop this. I said, count me in. Here's what you need to do. And I started giving them all the details, datas, and fact on how to stop them, and they were able to block it before they just made that same mistake, because now is not the time to go with an IT software system until all the parameters are put in place to block us who are IT gurus to go and do this, and suddenly, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and it's very tragic.
Wow. That's a lot to inhale in 45 minutes. What can I say? It is. What I'd like to do in the next, we got to take a break here pretty quick, and I really appreciate the time you're taking with us, Maria. I'd like to talk a little bit about what the average citizen can do. I don't know if any of us are average anymore. I think we're all much more educated than we've ever been, and I think that's a good thing. But what we can do to make changes in our own areas, because Nevada, for one, is horrendous, and they're trying to pass the bill that keeps everything the way it was in this last election, which is just awful. So I'll say it. I don't care if anybody else likes what I say. That's what I'm going to say.
I was going to say amen. Right,
yeah,
amen.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to be right back. We'll talk about that with Maria when we come back. Please stay with us. And this is What's the Story.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Patterson. I'm the founder and owner of Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists. At Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists, we take a comprehensive approach to treating patients with chronic pain in the greater Reno, Tahoe area. We believe in the biopsychosocial model. This means we use multiple disciplines such as massage therapy, physical therapy, behavioral health, and medical treatments to treat your chronic pain. A plan of care is tailor-made for each individual patient. We always recommend conservative care first, but offer minimally invasive treatments when necessary. We are your one-stop shop. If it hurts, we can help. We pride ourselves in providing passionate care and making you feel welcome and understood. We are located in Reno and in Sparks, so give us a call to schedule a new patient consult at 284-8650. Again, that's 284-8650. Or visit our website at nvadvancedpain.com. We hope you choose Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists to be your center for injury rehabilitation. nvadvancedpain.com, 284-8650.
Hey, all you entrepreneurs out there. Whether you have a small business or work from home, LaRue Press offers a virtual office and business address for all your business needs. Located at 280 Gregg Street, Suite 10, LaRue Press is your personal assistant for friendly all-day service. Need a conference room to meet with clients? You got it. With LaRue Press, you also get phone answering service, mail forwarding, package pickup, and even help branding your business. Call LaRue Press at 849-3814 or go online to lrpnv.com.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Now she's gone like a
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. This is What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson here with Ed Knoll, Doug Ashby, and our very special guest, Maria Zack. And Maria, before we left in the break, I mentioned that we kind of want to know, what can the citizen do that is so frustrated, and whether they believe this election, what the outcome was correct or not, doesn't matter, because I think that some of the audits that have been done have already shown that on local levels the results were wrong, and things were either not counted properly, or something occurred, and that's real obvious from the audits. So what can a person do? And I know you're a real optimist, and you're a fighter, and we appreciate that. But we're kind of looking for, it looks kind of dark. So where do we go from here?
It's been a very tough time for everyone, and I know some people are grieving over the loss of their nation, and they're concerned that corruption has taken over government, and they should be concerned. And that's why all the more that we need everybody to come in and demand transparency, full transparency, cameras at all locations where voting takes place. Not that poll watchers get in trouble if they use cameras. They should be applauded, and they should be treated in a whistleblower class statute. So we need legislation to protect the whistleblowers in the polling locations. We need every polling worker, and both watchers, workers, and people involved in the process, to sign affidavits at the end of every night, administered by the local sheriff. The sheriffs have tremendous capability to do investigations. I met with a board of elections supervisor in Cherokee County, Georgia, and she was like, I said, what'd you do when you found this corruption? She said, oh, I did what the law says. I sent it over to the Secretary of State. I said, why didn't you give it to your sheriff too? And she goes, oh, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, no, your sheriff has unbelievable constitutional given ability. So we want everyone to get involved in their party. That is very important. Democrat or Republican, and more so on the Democrat side, because they need a voice to say, hey, we don't subscribe to corruption, and to clear their good names, because otherwise they will be culpable as all of this breaks. They should demand as well at the Republican Party that all elected officials conduct thorough investigations. And those investigations and audits, I am stunned to learn the little piecemeal audit they did not conduct a full audit. If they, as elected officials, are not willing to conduct audits, they should be banned from getting on the ballots of either the Republican or Democratic Party. So I am requesting rules changes at the Republican and Democrat Party conventions this summer for most of them. And we are demanding other changes in their rules and also resolutions to express their dismay at what took place.
Right.
We
because
believe
if
that the video camera should be on.
Yeah. If in fact there is an audit, then everybody knows that it's right. Why would you not want an audit? As long as every organization I've belonged to, you have to have an audit. So why wouldn't we do that with our elections?
Absolutely, it should be mandatory, and there should be felonies if you do not sign an affidavit, because if you cannot keep an election free and clear, then that is a travesty. And if you're stealing from the American public actual votes, there should be harsh penalties.
Well, I'll tell you why nobody does, is because it will result in name calling, and nobody want to enter the arena with that, because they'll just be demonized. The news media will pick it up. They won't go with the core issue. They'll go with the demonization. So everybody throws their hands up in the air and says, why bother?
Well, this is where it's really important for the public to step up. And what happened in Georgia, a good example is the election law passed, and the Chamber of Commerce, top businesses, Coca-Cola and others, they all start jumping, yelling, and screaming. That was a travesty. So I've requested that the parties, Democrat and Republican, who believe in fairness and good, fair elections, legal elections, that they immediately call for the removal of all members, all voters who are Republican should immediately pull back their registration and fees to the chambers of commerce at the local, state, and federal level.
Well, that's a start. Money talks, right?
Oh, yeah. And doing a direct mail piece to all voters requesting that they remove it as well, because if they can't trust their election, nothing else matters. So they should pull all support from the chamber. Now, you could give the chamber 30 days notice and say, hey, if you guys take up a rule and abide by it to only call for free and fair elections and full transparency, then we might be willing to not send that direct mail piece.
Yeah, well, I guess you got to do something. So I know that you spend a lot of time and a lot of money on what you do. What can we do for you?
Well, nationsinaction.org is the website, and it may look like it's not secure, but it is secure. And some of the browsers are treating us ever so unkindly.
Yes, they are.
And as well as YouTube and Facebook. So we are on Facebook. We're no longer on Twitter, as I'm sure everyone can guess why. And we are on Parler, and we have a donate button on our nationsinaction.org. And we want everyone to share that location. We're going to be giving strong suggestions and recommendations on things people can do. We're building an army across the nation, and we're going to storm every state until we get this right.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, we got some applause going on over here. Well, we appreciate. You guys have any other questions? You want to share?
I'm not good enough.
I think you've intimidated them.
Well, you hit me good on what's next. Like, is there any answer? And I think the Durham report is going to be very interesting. And I think it's a huge opportunity for America to wake up and see what's really happening behind the scenes. And when they start to see the infiltration and how the coordination happened with the election with Russiagate and the whole Russia collusion, that was like the prelude. And I just didn't realize, even with my 30 years government affairs experience, I didn't see that coming of how intertwined it was.
Yeah, that's just amazing. And I had another question. It just escaped me. I looked up at the clock and it took me away. What can I say? It happens sometimes.
You know, I did see an article where that they asked the question about whether we should have voter ID. And it came back where 87% of the public said yes.
Yes.
13% said no, and then the remainder were undecided, I guess. Well, it begs the question, who in government is pulling the strings for the vast majority of the people that want change? I mean, you talk about, Maria, having your work cut out for you. Something as basic as that, just like Ed says, we're all swimming upstream. And something, I mean, my gosh.
So what do you say to that?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Actually, Doug, you just laid the case for why I'm not swimming upstream, as difficult as it may seem, because the majority of America is with us.
Absolutely.
If you did a poll, and I would like to do a poll of Democrats and ask them, do you support fraud and corruption in elections?
They're going to say
the
no.
The majority of Americans would say no.
Yeah, a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. You're going to say no to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's the frustrating part about all of this. So I remembered my question. It has to do with the media. You and I talked a little bit about this off air. And the media is a big part of the reason why the message doesn't get out there correctly. What do we do about that?
Well, I think we start at the local levels. We have all the parties go and sit down and meet with them. There should be quarterly editorial board visits. Regular citizens should meet with them, especially the local chambers, because your local chamber, you're more likely to have a bigger voice. But just grab some of your fellow businessmen, go have a quarterly meeting with your editorial board, and let's talk about what's really reported in the news and where the facts are. Where's the real investigation? Where are the real questions being asked? This is the no-brainer stuff, because they need advertising dollars. Papers are dying. And so everybody wants your money. And then suddenly you're not performing. So it's time that we turn the tables and say, hold on a second, you're not doing your job. And when you're not doing your job, you're fired. And
I'm game. We'll buy him lunch.
I love that. But the fact is, the election cycle is the only money they need, right? Best I know, they don't need advertising, right? They can live on the election cycle money.
Well, some folks can, but the papers are a dying breed because so much has gone to TV and social media. So if you're in the print business, you're in trouble.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good advice. And I want to thank you very much for being with us today, Maria. That was very informative. And I hope that if you have an opportunity, you'll come back with us again.
Would love to. Thanks so much, everyone.
All right.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Maria.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
You too.
Wow.
That was great.
That was incredible. That was just incredible.
So it's like kind of if Dictionary could talk, right? She's just so factual and so concise. It really was loaded, but what a compelling case I mean, I just listened to it, and I can't deny it.
Right. Well, and you did think that.
I was skeptical.
Yeah, you were. I know you were. I was curious to know how you would feel after we were done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm in.
And you?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Plus, I want a laser satellite to vote with.
Yeah.
That is just a cool. That is so James Bond, right?
We need as many people on our side pulling the rope that we can get.
But listening to her, you can hear this is not a right-left issue. This is something that everybody would be, if they understood what she understands, everybody on both sides, on all sides, would be concerned about this. It has nothing to do with who won.
87% of the people want voter ID.
Right.
And yet the news media is adamantly against it.
Right.
So I'm going to have to be against it now since it's so dominant, 87%.
That's right. That's that thing.
Right's got to be wrong.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Hope you enjoyed that last segment. I know I did.
I did too. She was highly.
Yeah.
She was phenomenal, and we want to thank her for taking the time because I know it's late in Georgia. So, all right. So we'll be back here next week, and hopefully you'll be back with us, and we'll do this again. And we'll
Optimism
talk
in
about
the
pension.
human condition.
That's right. We're going to be very optimistic.
And we won't start off with a negative.
Oh, we won't. We promise. All right. This is What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson, and have a great week.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate